What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're unfamiliar with me and what we do here, I tend to run a free trading game collection, which is essentially a series where I try to build a video game collection, much like the one that you see behind me, without spending any money on it. If you're familiar with the series and you look behind me and you think, well, things have changed a lot, I have rearranged a few things. I've put some more shelves up. I will show you that in an upcoming video. If you want to go check out that playlist, it is linked in the description. We have over 70 videos for that series. So that being said, today I'm going to just take a very small amount of games off my list of games to pick up in the future that I believe will go up in price very, very soon. I actually only own one game on this list that you're about to see today, so no one can complain that I'm trying to up the price of my collection, for example. Let's kick off with that game. I don't want to drag this video out. We are talking Xbox 360. It is Omerta City of Gangsters. This is a strategy game, obviously based, I would say in the 50s. Is it around gangsters, essentially? It's not everyone's cup of tea, this, and it is probably an acquired taste. However, this has gone up already since I originally filmed this. Now, this video was originally filmed well over a week ago, and for some reason, I just didn't edit and release it. I went back to see how much I had edited, and all I've done really is assembled all of the screenshots of the CEX prices. This was £4, it is now £6. So it's already gone up by £2, but £6 for this game is actually a really good deal. I need to get another one. The cover on this is not great, and it doesn't have a manual, and you can hear the disc rattling around in there, but it's a really good game if you're into that sort of thing. Let's move on to the next. Right, so this next game is a game that I had in the collection at one point, but I've since traded it in because my collection is full of games I want to play rather than just putting them there for the sake of it. This is Cabela's Survival, and I've got it written down, Shadows of Katmai. Now, this is a game that cost me very little when I bought it originally. I got it in CEX in Swindon, and to be honest, I picked it up because I thought it was cheap. I'm sort of half in and half out of the Cabela's series. I have played like African Safari and things, and when I originally played it years and years ago, I played it for achievements. These days, not really that bothered by achievements. I probably won't ever play it. So even though I bought it because it was cheap, I've moved it on since. I traded it in for 10, so I did more than a double up on the credit, but now it's gone up again, and it's now valued at £18, and it trades in for 12. But I do believe that this game, within the next 6 months, will probably close to double. This isn't an investment guide, and I'm not an expert on these things. It's just patterns that I see because I'm looking and buying and selling video games a lot, so I see prices fluctuate quite regularly. And I'm not saying that this game is absolutely going to be worth £36 in 6 months' time, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Let's talk about a Wii game, and one that I've actually overlooked because I do have this in the collection. However, it is disc only, so I don't class that as having it. I do have it, obviously, and I could sell it disc only and make a couple of quid on it because it was free, came part of a Wii bundle or something. However, if you want to buy this in CEX, it's going to cost you £20. It is New Super Mario Brothers. However, if you go on eBay, places like Vinted, Facebook Marketplace even, right by me, there is someone selling this on Facebook Marketplace today for 10 quid. So I was tempted to pick it up, but I've got it disc only, and I'm happy just to have it like that for now. However, this game, I believe, will start to go up over time. It's not going to be one of those really sharp rises, and I don't think within the next 6 months it's going to be double what it is now. I may be wrong, but I think over time it will just steadily increase to a point where it's quite expensive for what it is, because it's available on a lot of platforms. So definitely one to look out for. If you can get it cheap, I would, but I wouldn't rush to buy this in CEX for many reasons. But you should be able to find this on eBay a lot cheaper than CEX prices. Next on the list is going to be another Xbox 360 game, and you'll notice that there are a lot of Xbox 360 games on this list, and of course that applies to PS3 as well. I would imagine that most of these are going to be, if not the same, very similar in price, so keep an eye out for those. But I don't collect PS3, so I don't really keep that much of an eye on the platform itself. But we're talking a sports game here, WWE 2K17. It is the last wrestling game to be released on the platform, and much like games like FIFA, Madden, and even Tiger Woods, the last iteration of that game on the platform tends to go up in price. Now, FIFA 19 on the Xbox 360 is 40 quid, I think, in CEX. It's very close to that if it's not that. And even FIFA 18 and FIFA 17 hold value as well. FIFA 17 has started to creep up a little bit these days. FIFA 18, I think, is £20 plus. So it's more than reasonable to look at other sports games and look at the last one that was released on the 360 and PS3 and maybe just go for that. So those wrestling games, I haven't actually played them. I think the last one I played on the 360 was maybe 2008, possibly, maybe even 2009. However, definitely one to look out for, especially if you're a wrestling fan. Yes, it is available on PS4 and Xbox One, but we are talking strictly value here. This next one is a Switch game, although it is available on PS4, and you may want to look into picking it up on the PS4 rather than the Switch at the moment, because you probably can't get it on the Switch. I am talking Mad Games Tycoon. I've looked at this a lot in the series, and on the PlayStation 4 originally when I first saw it, it was about £35, dropped to 28 quite sharply, and I thought, right, I'm going to wait until this game is at a point where I'm thinking, now's the time. So often in my series, I'll look at games and I think, yes, I want to get that. Like, for example, with Sifu, I looked at that and I thought, I want it, but it's £38. And it dropped to 35 and then it dropped to 33. And I'm thinking, right, it's going down. Once it gets to around 25, 28, that's when I'll go for it. And then it just went back up again and I thought, right, I've missed the boat. So I'll see this a lot with various video games, and Mad Games Tycoon just kept dropping to the point where on the PS4 right now it is £18, and I think that's probably, I wouldn't say this the floor necessarily. It may drop another £3, but it wouldn't be a bad price to pick it up at. On the Switch, however, it is £15. The problem with that, finding stock. CEX don't have any. If you go on eBay, it is nearly double. So if you ever see one in stock in CEX, you need to buy it. Now, I've said that, I actually want it, so I probably shouldn't put this on the list, but it's definitely one to look out for. This next one almost didn't make it on the list, and the reason is it's already fairly pricey. I am talking Back to the Future on the Xbox 360. This is a pretty obvious one. I believe it's a Telltale game, so obviously they're not going to do any more. This game's gone up in price by £5 since like a week or two ago when I originally recorded this video. It's now 25. It was, of course, 20. If you see this in a boot sale, in a charity shop, on eBay, Vinted, wherever, Facebook Marketplace, and it's less than 20, you need to buy it. Of course, if you're not into it and you're not looking to invest, then fine. I don't actually collect video games as an investment. I know a lot of people do, and they will keep things sealed and try and keep it as pristine as possible so it's worth more in the future, and I have nothing against that. I collect games to play them. But for me, if you are looking to collect to play or collect to invest, Back to the Future absolutely has to be on your list, but make sure you pay the right price. In my trading collection series, I've talked about the PS Vita in my most recent video, and I said that I want to get one. Subscriber actually reached out and offered me one. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite negotiate the deal, but it is something I want to start collecting for, and I've been looking at the games, and there are two games in particular. There may be more, I haven't really looked that deep into it, but there are two games in particular that I want to pick up. One of which has already gone up in price, and I can only see it going up further, and that is Football Manager 2014. Why on earth would that game ever be worth money? Well, it's already gone up from 8, I think, to 12, so it's jumped by £4. If I'm wrong, it's on screen for you what it originally was. The reason I think this will go up in price is because it's the only Football Manager game on the platform. They're obviously not going to make any more. It's going to go up in price. Let's dive back over to the Xbox 360. I could easily make a video about just Xbox 360, but I wanted to sprinkle in a few other platforms here or there. I'm going to talk about the most popular racing series of all time, arguably, and that is Need for Speed. Now, the most popular game on the 360 is going to be Most Wanted. That is £38. It's gone up £3 since I originally recorded this a week or two ago. It's obviously just going to keep going up and up. They're not going to make any more, for example. It's just going to be one of those games that is eventually very expensive. A lot of people would consider £38 expensive for an Xbox 360 game, and I would argue that that's probably right. If you go back to like the Mega Drive and that kind of era, £38 for a game isn't actually that expensive. You're looking at £70 plus, and that's when things start to get like, oh, that's expensive. So it's all relevant to the platform. So why have I talked about Need for Speed? Well, the game in question is going to be Need for Speed Carbon, and the reason I think that that game is going to go up in price is because of Need for Speed Most Wanted. Most Wanted is £38, and as I mentioned, it's going to keep going up. Therefore, people are going to go, well, I can't really afford that right now, but I do really want to play a Need for Speed game. What's the next best thing? It's Carbon. Carbon is, I wouldn't say a carbon copy, excuse the pun, but it's very close to what Need for Speed Most Wanted was. I actually prefer that game, and a lot of people won't. My favourite is Underground 2 on the PS2, but that's for a different video or entirely. But Carbon will go up in price just because of the association, and because Most Wanted is so expensive, people will fall to the next best thing, and it's the one that was released after, and it's Carbon. Special shout out here to Pro Street. I don't actually like the game, I think it's terrible, but I do think that that could start to go up in price because those three were, I think, blocked together, and then they had a little bit of a gap and they started releasing Undercover and Hot Pursuit and things. But Pro Street is only £5 right now. It's not a bad investment. I think it probably will go up over time, not by a lot, but still definitely worth keeping an eye on. Very briefly, jump back over to the Vita. My last Vita game, I promise. This is Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. I know absolutely sod all about this game, but I do know that it's only one of 2 Assassin's Creed games on the platform. The Vita is getting a resurgence right now. A lot of people are starting to pick it up and talk about it, and people are making videos on it and stuff. It's kind of one of the reasons why I want to get it, is because I've been introduced to it, if you will. Handhelds were never my thing, but seeing more and more people talk about it, and I'm looking at the games, I'm thinking, oh, actually, probably could get into that, and I'm loving the Switch right now, and that is mainly played by me in handheld mode. So it's one of those things. I want to get it, but I think Assassin's Creed is going to be one of those games that people will look to play, and it's only £12 right now for a Vita game that is actually fairly cheap. Back over to the 360, I'm going to do one every other now just to even it out. I'm going to talk Tony Hawk games. There are quite a few Tony Hawk games on several platforms that I consider to be masterpieces. Proving Ground, I like, but my favourite Tony Hawk game of all time, and yes, I'm including the first one, I'm including the second one, I don't care, it's American Wasteland. Absolutely love that game on the 360. It's super cheap on the PS2, I think it's only a £5. So if you're not bothered about the graphics or the way it plays or anything, get it on the PS2 if you just want to play it and you don't want to spend the mega bucks that this game has gone up to. I'm joking, of course, but it is £12. It's gone up since I recorded originally, much as most of these. But it's a game that I really need to get sooner rather than later. I can absolutely see this going up to 2025 just because it's one of those. It's not talked about that much in terms of Tony Hawk games. A lot of people will talk about the first and second one. Of course, that's why they got remakes and remasters. But American Wasteland for me was huge. It was such a good game, and I need to pick it up sooner rather than later. £12 and it trades in for £8. So if you see it, in my opinion, get it. The Nintendo Switch has only had one game on this list. Let's make it 2, although it is available on other platforms. Leisure Suit Larry. This is the second one we're talking about. The first one, I think, is £52 in CEX. That's pricey. Will it go up even further? Who knows? But the second one is only 15, and if YouTuber's Life is anything to go by, the second one will rise as well, because the first one is going to be harder to get. It had a much fewer of a print run, if you will. Limited print run, and it's already super expensive, so people will drop down to the next game if they just want to play Leisure Suit Larry. It's full of innuendo, it is a good laugh, it's not going to be to everyone's taste, but I do recommend trying it at least. But for £15, that is a very good price. 2 games left to talk about. I'm actually going to get, well, both of them in my opinion are actually quite obvious, but one of them is on the 3DS, the other one is on the Xbox 360, funnily enough. Although, the one that's on the Xbox 360 is available on multiple platforms. Let's talk about that first. Bully, Canis Canem Edit, whatever you want to call it, this game will, I guarantee it, don't take my word as financial advice, but I do guarantee it that this is going to be super expensive in the future. It didn't have a limited print run. It's all over the place. I think it even got a re-release with an Xbox One skin just to try and sell it for the platform because it is backwards compatible. Don't think they did anything to the game. They literally just slapped it in an Xbox One case. But this will never be remade. They will never make a Bully 2 because it's too unpolitically correct, if you will. Unpolitically correct? I don't know. English, not my first language. Leave me alone. So this game is 1 in a million. Rockstar will probably never touch this IP again, and they'll leave it alone. And to be fair, it probably doesn't even need a second game. The first one is so good. This has gone up though considerably in the last week or two. I think it went from 8 to 12. No, it's gone to 18. So it's gone from 15 to 18. My bad, I'm getting it confused with the other things. It's cheap on other platforms. I don't know the prices off the top of my head, but I think it is quite cheap on the Wii if you're into that sort of thing. But I definitely want it on the Xbox 360. I don't want the PS2 version because it's not actually called what it is, but I definitely recommend getting this if you don't already own it, because I know a lot of you will. But if you do own any of these games, or don't, or maybe you're now considering it, let me know in the comments what you think. And of course, you can drop any suggestions for games that you think will go up in price in the near future. It's not all about price, of course. I am not saying pick any of these games up to invest in. It may be a case of they're on your list and now you're thinking, oh, maybe I need to actively look to pick that up sooner rather than later, because you want to get it before it's super expensive, right? I saw Need for Speed Most Wanted a few years ago and it was 20 quid, and even then I was thinking, oh, that is a bit on the pricey side for that game. Now it's nearly double, and I'm thinking, yeah, probably should have picked up 20 of them. You know, it's one of those. The last game on the list is very obvious, and it's actually two games. Zelda on the 3DS. There are 3 games. I think Majora's Mask is the one that's already like nearly 40 quid. I think it's like 38 or something. The other 2 are £18 each. There is a new Zelda game coming out soon on the Switch. You probably already know about it. There are already a few games on the Switch as well. But these are of course locked to the 3DS. They don't make them for PlayStation or Xbox or anything. And I've recently picked up a 3DS and started playing a little bit of it. I really like it. And I think that these Zelda games are obviously only going to go one way, much like Pokemon games. Pokemon games are obviously exclusive to these platforms and Nintendo platforms generally, so they're only ever going to go up in price because you can't get them anywhere else. They're not going to make them anymore. I think that if you have a 3DS and you want to put them in your collection, you need to act sooner rather than later. That's going to be the term of this video, I'm sure. I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, pick these up if you want to make money in the future, and like I said, that's not what this video is all about. If you do want to add them to your collection though, I definitely would be looking to get them soon, because I definitely see a little price increase. So definitely something you need to hop on, and that is actually going to do it for the list of games that I have in front of me. So happy days. Now I could easily make a video on probably the Vita as well, but the 360 in particular, I could make I can make videos. I know a lot about the Xbox 360. It's probably one of my favourite, alongside the Mega Drive for video games, and of course it has a massive library and lots of potential for investment if you are looking to build a 360 collection. So if you want to see that video, do me a favour and hit that like button. If you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments down below with anything that I've mentioned in today's video. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to follow that free trading game collection series. Till the next time, goodbye.